Hi, welcome to Once Upon a Wednesday. It's Miss Diane at the Kinsman Free Public Library. Today we're going to be talking about gnomes, fairies, and unicorns. Today I have with me our gnome, Shelvin. He comes along with me on our Gnome on the Roam story times. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about our gnomes. To start with, the word gnome is a Greek word which means wee little man with a red hat. As you can see, Shelvin does not have a red hat, he has a purple hat. And you can find gnomes mainly in the forests. They also live by the rivers, and you can find them in barns. And they're actually considered to be protectors of family and animals, and they've been known to speak to the animals. You will also find them in a lot of gardens because they love flowers, they love jewelry, they love gems, and they live to be about 375 years old. That's amazing, isn't it? Wouldn't you want to live to be 375 years old? I don't know. They also are considered good luck, so we're so glad to have Shelvin here around with us. The next thing I'm going to talk about is unicorns. So I'm going to share some unicorn lore with you from this book called How to Find a Unicorn by Sue Fleiss. So do you think unicorns are real? Have you ever seen one? When you think about a unicorn, or when I think about a unicorn, I think of a white horse that has a nice pretty single horn on top of its head. But all around the world there have been stories of the existence of these magical gentle creatures dating back almost 5,000 years. That's a long time ago. Unicorn means one horn in Latin, and legend says that a unicorn's horn has many special powers, such as the ability to make music, to heal and protect humans from poison, to purify water and cure diseases. That's unbelievable. It was also believed that unicorns bring peace, strength, and bravery to people. The creatures are thought to be wise, lightning fast, fierce, and very difficult to catch, especially by force. They represent loyalty, purity, perfection, and goodness. And if you become friends with one, you will be friends for life. Some say a unicorn's mane gives it power to be invisible. Wouldn't that be a neat trick? Perhaps this is why no one has ever seen one. Have you seen one? I sure haven't. The story I'm going to share with you today is about a unicorn. Who thinks he's a narwhal? So a narwhal is a sea creature that also has one horn. This story is called Not Quite Narwhal by Jessie Sima. This unicorn's name is Kelp, and he was born deep in the ocean. As you can see, he has a bubble around his head. If you and I were to dive into the ocean, we would have to have a helmet on our head with an oxygen tank to help us breathe. So I'm assuming that's what helps him breathe. He knew early on that he was different from other narwhals. His tusk wasn't as long as everyone else's, and he had different tastes in food. As you can see, here's our narwhal here. He almost looks like a whale with a big long horn. And the unicorn's different, of course, because he has feet and tail, but he does have a single horn as well. Kelp had different tastes in food, and he wasn't a very good swimmer. But his friends didn't seem to mind, so Kelp decided he wouldn't either. That is until he was swept away by a strong current. "I wish I were a better swimmer," he said. Kelp found himself at the surface, closer to land than he'd ever been before. High up on a cliff, he spotted a mysterious, sparkling creature, and it looked so familiar. It looked like Kelp. So Kelp swam toward land as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that he could catch up with the creature that looked just like him. When he finally reached the shore, Kelp felt a little bit anxious. He had never left the ocean. He was nervous about walking for the first time, but the land creatures made it look so easy. It wasn't. As you can see, he tried to leap like a frog. Horses don't walk like frogs. He tried to walk like a crab. Unicorns don't walk like crabs. And eventually he got the hang of it after he tried to walk like a turtle. Slow to start. Everything on land was strange and beautiful, but also kind of scary. Kelp began to think he might never find the creature that looked just like him, but as he stumbled out of the forest, it was a land of what he called narwhals. These aren't narwhals, they're unicorns. Kelp had never heard of unicorns before. They taught him all sorts of new things about his tusk, called horns. They introduced him to unicorn delicacies like rainbow ice cream, and they showed him how to gallop. There was no doubt that Kelp was, in fact, a unicorn, not a narwhal. He was having so much fun that he didn't want to leave. But then he remembered all of his friends under the sea. Kelp missed them terribly, so he said goodbye to the unicorns and returned to the ocean. He promised to come back soon. So Kelp swam toward home as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that the narwhals would still like him now that he was a unicorn. When he finally arrived, Kelp had butterflies in his stomach. Kelp took a deep breath and told his friends the news. And he said, "It turns out I'm not a narwhal." And they said, "Of course you aren't. We knew that. I'm a unicorn." They knew that too. Kelp was happy to be home, but now that he'd experienced life on land with the unicorns, he couldn't seem to forget them. Did he want to be a land narwhal with the unicorns, or a sea unicorn with the narwhals? Kelp couldn't decide. But then he realized that maybe, just maybe, he didn't have to choose, and they could all be friends. Looks like they're having a lot of fun here. So, whether or not you believe in unicorns, there are actual creatures called narwhals that live in the sea. And there are some fun chapter books that you can learn about the unicorn of the sea. This one's by Ben Clayton called Narwhal. It's a narwhal and jelly book. And so this narwhal actually has a best friend who is a jellyfish. So just some really fun facts about this narwhal. Their horns can be up to 10 feet long. They weigh about 3,500 pounds. They can hold their breath for 25 minutes. That's a really long time. Don't try it. And they can actually dive to about 5,905 feet, which is over a mile beneath the surface. And they live up to about 90 years. A little bit about jellyfish. There are about 4,000 different types of jellyfish in the world. A group of jellyfish is called a smack, and they have been around way before the dinosaurs, so millions of years. The sting from the jellyfish can be quite deadly, so you don't want to play with them. And the deadliest ones are mainly found in Australia. So if you would like a fun chapter book to read, this is kind of a graphic, well, more of a graphic novel to read. Try the Narwhal and Jelly books. There's also a book called Phoebe and the Unicorn. That's a good series to read as well. So the last story I'm going to read today is about a fairy. So what do we know about fairies? It's another mystical creature like unicorns and gnomes. They typically are found in the forest. We know they fly. And this one is not your typical fairy. Usually we think that they're don't like the mud, that they like flowers, that they're, probably like to go to parties. This story is called The Mud Fairy by Amy Young. find out a little bit about what fairies are all about. So you may think that being a fairy is all easy and fun, and they flit around from flower to flower and play games all day. Not this fairy. Her name is Emelina, and she's here to tell you that fairy life is not all that it's cracked up to be. So a fairy is supposed to be neat and dainty all the time. No running, no jumping, no playing in the mud. You're supposed to sit up straight, sip dewdrops, and nibble pollen pie, but no slurping or gulping or burping is allowed. Kind of like a princess. She'd rather play in the swamp with the frogs, and she usually gets into trouble. The hardest part about being a fairy is when a fairy gets to be 100 years old, she has to earn her wings. So before you can become a fairy, you have to be 100 and do something to earn your wings. And it has to be something important. Leapfrogging is not considered to be important. So her friend Twink opened a flower and she got her wings. Emelina tried opening a flower and it didn't work out very well. The flower broke. Sparkle Toes strung dewdrops on a spider web and she got her wings. Emelina tried to do the same thing but got into a sticky situation with a spider. Corabelle, Delilah, Fern, Sky, and Indigo teamed up to make a rainbow. It was beautiful. Of course, they all got their wings. But when she tried to do something fancy, no one appreciated it. Maybe she was trying too hard. Every fairy is good at something, just she had to give it some time. But what if she wasn't good at anything? So she snuck off to the swamp where her frog friends were sitting around wringing their feet. And they croaked, "Oh, Emelina, something wrong with our children?" "Look, Junior can't jump and he can't catch flies and none of them can." "Well, you don't get to be as old as I am without learning a thing or two. They're tadpoles. They'll turn into frogs. Just give them a little time." I came back every day to see how the tadpoles were doing. One day I chased away a hungry monster, and another day I hid them from a giant. As the weeks went by, the tadpoles got little nubs on their bodies, which slowly turned into arms and legs. Finally, one day, all the tadpoles had turned into frogs, and their parents cheered. "They will be jumpers yet." I spent the rest of the day teaching the new frogs how to play leapfrog and to catch flies. When I got home, the queen was waiting for me. "Emelina, I know what you've been doing." I know. She thought she was in big trouble. She was muddy and messy and not dainty and delicate at all like the other fairies. She even kind of smelled froggy. But the queen smiled and said, "You helped the frogs with their tadpoles, and you taught the new frogs how to leap and play. No other fairy could have done that. You have earned your wings with high honors. You will henceforth be known as Emmeline, the Mug Fairy, protector of frogs." How cool was that? They celebrated with the biggest party they'd ever seen. Fairies got muddy and frogs got flowery, and we danced and played until dawn. Sure, some fairies flit around from flower to flower all day, but some fairies just like to play in the mud. Maybe you do too. So thank you for joining us today for Once Upon a Wednesday. We'll see you next time. Hi everyone, so today we're going to be making 3 crafts. In your bag you should have some of the materials you need to make the crafts today. We're going to make a unicorn mask, a gnome home, and a bubble wand. So you want to make sure that you have some tape, glue, maybe a stapler, and you want to fish out your horn, flowers, your pink and white construction paper. If you have black or brown paper at home, you can grab some of that and some fun stickers. And if you have any beads at home, you'll need some of those too. And the pony beads work really well for this. So they have a bigger hole in the center. You will also need some scissors and a color marker of your choosing. So the first craft that we're going to make is our unicorn mask. And so you're going to take out your paper plate, and what you're going to have to do is cut out the center of your plate. And you do that by just folding it over gently, taking your scissors and making a cut in the middle. You open it back up, and then you can cut to the side of your paper and easily cut around this little indentation, the circle in the center. So I'm going to finish this, and then you have a hole in the middle of your paper. The next thing you're going to do on your white paper, you're going to draw some ears. So I have ears drawn here, and then you're going to cut them out. On your pink paper, you're going to make a little smaller hill. This will be the inside of the ear, and you'll cut those out as well. So I already have those cut. You're going to take your glue. Now you can use a glue stick or regular glue. And you're going to glue the pink hill inside of the white hill to make your ear. So you're going to let that sit for a little bit. The next thing you're going to do is either put glue on the back of your horn, or you're going to staple it to your paper plate right at the top. So I'm going to staple mine. So it will take a little bit of time for it to dry if I use the glue, but you can certainly use glue for this. You just have to let it dry before you use it. The next thing you're going to do is place your ears next to your horn, one on each side. So you're going to take your glue and put some glue on either side of the horn. Take your ears that you just made, we're going to glue those on each side. So included in your packet should be 3 or 4 flowers of different colors. The next thing you're going to do is put glue on these flowers, and we're going to paste them underneath the ears and the horns just like that. So go ahead and do that. Doesn't matter what order you put them in. You can use 3 or 4 flowers. If you want to draw a little center in the middle, you can do that. You can decorate it with feathers as well. There are some feathers in your packet. So the last thing you're going to do, and I don't have an extra one here with me, so I will just show you. You have a paint stick in your packet. And what you're going to do is tape it onto the back here. This is what you're going to hold on to. And you hold it in front of your face. And magically, you're a unicorn. That's our first craft for today. Our second craft is our gnome home. So what you're going to start with, you're going to find at least 8 popsicle sticks. The best way to keep these together is to run some tape across it. So you're going to take a piece of tape, put one in the middle, one at the bottom, and one at the top. And then you're going to turn it over. The next step is you're going to find your half of paper plate that was included in the packet. You're going to color this inside circle here a color of your choosing, and I chose red. And then you'll see where these little ridges come down. Where they end, you're going to cut right along there to make a roof for your home. And the next thing you're going to do is, if you have some stickers, any stickers will do that you have laying around the house, you're going to decorate your roof. As you can see here, I put stars on my roof. And now I'm going to glue this. Actually, you should probably use regular glue for this. And just run it along the top of your popsicle sticks. I'm going to glue your roof down. So that while that's drying, if you have some brown or black paper at home, you can make windows and doors. You can also make a chimney like I have here on my roof. So I have already cut out a door and a chimney. We're going to go ahead and glue both of those to our piece here. So now I have a door. And you're going to glue the chimney to the back. So now I have a chimney. And it doesn't have to be straight. You could have a crooked chimney, whatever you would like to do. So there is your gnome home. So our very last craft for today is our bubble wand. And I don't have any bubble solution with me today, but I promise you this does work. In your packet, you should have a couple pipe cleaners. You're going to take 2 of the color of your choosing, and you're going to start twisting them together. I've already started mine here. And when you get about, probably 1/3 to 1/2 of the way down, what you're going to do is make this part you twisted into a circle. I'm going to twist a little bit more and go about halfway down. This will be the part that you're going to put in your bubble solution. So you bend it over to make a circle, wrap it around the stem here to secure it. And then you're going to go ahead and twist the rest of your pipe cleaner together all the way to the bottom. So once you have that done, if you have the beads at home, if you want to make it a little more sturdier so it's not flopping all over, you can add beads to it. If you don't have beads, it will still work, but this just gives it a little more structure. So you're just going to slip the bead onto the very bottom, all the way up to the top. And then when you're done, I'm going to untwist the 2 pipe cleaners just a little bit. And to secure the beads in place, you have 2 pipe cleaners. I'm going to push one side up and then the other. That keeps the beads from falling off. And there you have a bubble wand. If you have some cookie cutters, you can make different shapes. You can easily make a heart by just pressing it down in the middle. But I will tell you that they do not come out in heart shapes or square shapes or anything like that. They come out as circles, but it's still a lot of fun. So thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time.